Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to Vault Hunters. Today we will look at the initial basic mechanism setup that I got going. In the last live stream there, we got the knowledge that we needed to be able to open up the mod. And then I had to go collect resources so that we could start getting into that because it took quite a bit of chromatic iron to get the machines that we needed, and I also went through quite a bit of beniatite, or not beniatite, Larimar, but that's not a huge deal because we're swimming in the Larimar anyways. Thought there was, why is the Larimar drawer not accessible by my system? Oh, because it's not connected anymore because I took down the drawer, that's why. I got seven and a half stacks of Larimar, so we're not hurting on it by any stretch, but I used up definitely just about a full stack with the Fortune 5, getting all the machines up and going. And now that I've got the mechanism, we can start getting a doubling of the ores that we got, and then from here we can expand even further, because if doubling was enough, it would be a lot better to go with thermal expansion, because you could get ore doubling with just one machine plus a smelter. But with mechanism, it takes 4 machines plus a smelter to get to double your ore chunks, these guys here. So if we look at the uses on there, with one pulverizer, you can double your ores in thermal, but in mechanism you need the purification chamber, which then needs a crusher, which then needs an enrichment chamber, which then needs to be cooked. So, and then to run the purifier we need this 5th machine called the electrolytic separator, but I'll go over all of that here in a minute, as well as the way that you should order your progression to get through all of these. So I've got them all lined up here. So the first machine that you need to make is the metallurgic infuser. That's this guy over here. He's not involved in this process, but we need this to get some of the, well, a lot of the ingredients to make the other machines. So over here it has a sort of secondary component, which it infuses into the primary component. So if we look at something like the enrichment chamber here, it needs a basic control circuit, which is a chromatic steel ingot infused with 160 millibuckets of Larimar. Each piece of Larimar is worth 10, so it takes 16 pieces of Larimar to make one basic control circuit. The other thing that we need to get with the metallurgic infuser is the steel, because to make the steel casings here we need steel blocks, and steel comes from the metallurgic infuser through making the steel dust. So you put enriched iron in with carbon in the infusion spot, and enriched iron is just, again, coal. So you infuse coal into iron, you get the enriched iron, and then you enrich it again and you get the steel. So that's the method to start getting these casings that we need, which is involved in almost all of the machines. So other than that, it's pretty basic to get the enrichment chamber. And when you get the enrichment chamber, you can then create a little bit more, you can get better value, because you can put a piece of coal into an enrichment chamber and it will turn it into the enriched carbon, which one piece will give you this, and the enriched carbon actually gives you 80 millibuckets of infusion over here. So you can basically times 8 your carbon with the enrichment chamber. So this should be the 2nd machine that you go for. It doesn't work with the Larimar, unfortunately, but with the carbon and there are some other ingredients that you can enrich in there as well to get more value when you're using the metallurgic infuser. So then the third machine you need to get is the crusher, and we need the crusher to process the ore chunks that we get out of the purification chamber. But as well, we need the crusher to get the ingredients we need to make the electrolytic separator, because we need these dusts, right? 2 osmium, a gold, and an iron to get this guy. And then infused alloys, again in the metallurgic infuser, chromatic iron with 40 millibuckets of Larimar. So lots and lots of Larimar went into the infusion processes going on in there. And that's this guy, electrolytic separator, which takes water. You put water in it over here, and it separates it out into hydrogen and oxygen. And obviously you get 2 parts of hydrogen to every 1 part of oxygen that you get out of it because of what the chemical makeup of water is, right? The electrolytic separator, because you need oxygen in this purification chamber to be able to process these the ore chunks. So every recipe in the purification chamber actually needs oxygen in this slot here. So to set all of these up, we need to have the electrolytic separator with the purification chamber on the right, and this will automatically export. I didn't have to do any settings there, so automatically the oxygen flows from the separator into there. See how it's full and things are going into the buffer here. There's 2 settings that you need to pay attention to on the electrolytic separator, and that's this one here and this one here. So you can have this, and this will get rid of everything that's in this slot. You can have idle, which means it will just stay there and go right to full, but the machine will stop working if either one of these tanks gets full. So you definitely want to have, at the start anyways, either a way to store your hydrogen, because you can use hydrogen in other processes in Mekanism, or if you just change this to dumping excess, so that when this gets up to 95% full, it will automatically void off any additional that comes in. Because we're only using oxygen, we kind of need to do this early on. And then you just leave this side on idle so that you keep all the precious oxygen that we have coming in to use in the purification chamber. So then after the purification, you want the crusher, then the enrichment, and then the final step would be the smelting. And then I guess I should probably have an output chest over there, hey? That would be useful. I did make the basic universal cables to connect all of these up. The power cables are not really very good, especially when you compare them to the Mekanism ones. One of the big benefits, the Mekanism ones carry a buffer in them, so they act like batteries in themselves. So this gives me an extra 25,000 FE on each piece of wire. And I've got 8 of them here to hook these up. And the recipe for those are a little bit expensive in this pack. They take chromatic steel and redstone. So yeah, what we do is in here, we'll put in one of the pieces of raw chromatic iron, and it will break it down into 2 chunks. And then we'll need to go to this button here to set our side config. And the output on the blue there, this has got a blue outline if you look close enough. So the blue output, we want to go to the right. And then this was automatically set up, but I just have to hit this button here so that it automatically ejects And so now that's ejected it onto this side, so we need to do the similar thing on this one, is just turn the auto eject on, and then the output automatically will get pushed into the next machine. So now this guy is enriching the dirty chromatic iron dust to regular chromatic iron dust. And that will come over here once it finishes off, and then we'll smelt it into the, oh, because we did not hit the auto eject. And then here we'll need to hit the auto eject so that it will push it into the chest afterwards. And so we should end up with 2 ingots of chromatic iron for that one that we put in there. I guess the other thing I should mention is that when you're in the process of making all these, you can get a little bit extra out of the enrichment chamber, because if you put 3 pieces of chromatic iron in here, you'll actually get 4 chromatic dust out on the other side. So you get a 33% increase. So that can give you a little bit extra resource while you're doing this whole process. So it's kind of like the first step here, you can get just this one machine and get 33% extra. But then once you get this one, then you're up to true doubling. And then after that, once we get some of this stuff all processed up, we can look at the other processes involved here. So the next step is to go to the chemical injection chamber. So if you put 3 raw chromatic iron in here, you'll get 8 chromatic shards out of it. And then each one of those need to be put through the purification chamber to get 1 clump. Right, so 3 turns to 8, that's 2, it's a little over 2. So it's, for getting a whole extra machine, you get a little bit extra more on top of that. But then the real bonus comes when you move to the chemical dissolution chamber. But this one's going to require a lot of machines to get going. This, you need sulfuric acid mixed with the raw chromatic iron, gives you this slurry. The Craft Tweaker recipe doesn't give it a proper name, chromatic iron slurry, but if you read through the text there, you can see it. And what you do with this is you'll put this into a chemical washer with water. Yeah, just water works with that stuff. And then out of the other end, you'll get clean slurry. And then you put the clean slurry into this chemical crystallizer, and then you'll get this crystal. And then with that crystal, it goes into the chemical injection chamber, and then you'll get a shard out at the end of it. And you have to do the math because it's a little bit fuzzy. But one chunk there gives you 600 millibuckets over there. This is just 1-to-1. 1 millibucket in, 1 millibucket out. Then this one is 200 to go to 1. Wait, that means that's only tripling, right? That gives 1,000. So you don't gain any extra in this pack for doing the extra steps? That's strange. I never noticed that before. Usually this, going to this step, gets you 5-to-1 on your chunks. But obviously with the other one being, oh yeah, this gives us tripling. Okay, so you go all the way up and you get tripling, because you get a little bit, you get 33% extra here, you get doubling when you get here, and then if you go to the injection chamber, you get a little more than 2, and then if you go to the dissolution chamber, you get 3. So tripling is the most you can get out of Mekanism in this pack. You can also do create if you wanted to get doubling as well. because you can use the crushing wheels to get your dust and then smelt that to get your ingots. Anyways, that's Mechanism. I went with Mechanism because, like I said, you can expand over the thermal series, and I don't really see other machines I really need right now in thermal. And I'd rather just have the ability to get up to tripling my ores with Mechanism, which is why I went with it. And then the other part with Mechanism that there's a couple of things that we can get. I don't know, maybe they're not even in here. I think maybe he took out the jetpack. But I thought I'd be able to get the jetpack. No, maybe not. Yeah, and the shoes aren't even in here either. So he's taken out the shoes as well. I guess eventually, if our power needs get there, we could open up the Mechanism power to get into the nuclear reactors if I have the need for the power. But I think power in itself, we can, if we upgrade that enough all the way, that we can get enough generation that we don't need to go to the generators, to the nuclear ones anyways. But just for now, I'm going to be feeding this manually. I guess that's the other thing I was going to go into. So to get the water... Oh, really? That happened? Boo. To get the water into the electrolytic separator, we have two choices. So we could get this electric pump, which again would require another steel casing, which is a whole bunch of need 18 more steel. We need 4 more chromatic steel. I just wanted to get up the doubling before I moved on to get that automatics thing set up, and I can just manually feed the separator for now. Might as well keep it working while we're standing here. I wanted to give this a test to see if we could drain the battery at all. Yes. So with that one solar panel, we can drain once all of these machines get running. Oh, this machine isn't even running yet. Yeah, so that one solar panel's not cutting it. We'll have to get some alternate power if we want to run this a lot. I guess the other thing I wanted to talk about was my drawers. I'm going to be using the framed drawers so that we could get these nice looking ones rather than just the standard drawers. And I kind of decided to go with this one at first, but then I realized that I could make chromatic wood, which is just one piece of chromatic iron surrounded by this driftwood, and you'll get 2 logs out of it. And I'll show you what I was doing. So the first design that I did was just regular concrete with the magic silk on the outside, and then the vault stone as the trim. So we've got a nice black trim, then this nice color on the outside, like the chromatic coloring from the silk, and then a plain white face. But then I saw this, and in one of the vaults I saw the plank version of this, and I immediately knew that's what I wanted to change my change all of my drawers over to. So don't even have to worry. Well, I guess you do have to worry in a way, because when you make one of these drawers, it actually uses up the resources. So when I make this drawer here, all of those resources disappear. So I now have this one here, but Did I have... Yeah, I got everything I need. So this drawer, which had the wood in it, I can recolor it. It's just that I lose the resources that I put into it in the first place. So this was the one with the oak logs in it, and it's now recolored to have the planks on the outside, which I like a lot better. But now that we've got those, I also made this external storage. So that's now hooked up to my drawer controller so that I can access it with my refined storage system. It was a little bit expensive to get, but not super horrible by any stretch. It just took, we had to make one importer, one exporter, and then this machine casing, which this was the expensive part with all of the chromatic steel. But not too bad overall, and it's not bad at all now that especially that I've got the doubling going on. So pretty happy with that there. Can add in that new machine soon to get even more at the end. But for now, I'm just going to build out my drawer wall here so that I can start moving some items out of the disk drive and into, because well, we're not filling up that fast, but I would like to get some things out of here so that I can save space on the disk itself. And especially we're going to need to get the compacting drawers. So with these guys, they'll hold a whole bunch of the resources and combine them all for us, so I don't have to pull out all these regret nuggets to make the chunks anymore. If I put the regret nuggets inside one of the compacting drawers, it'll do this automatically for us. And same with the vault nuggets, and even things like these, like things that do compact, like these guys go into the blocks, right? As well as the like cobblestone, right? For example. So if I make a drawer for cobblestone, it'll compact it into the single and the 2 times compressed all automatically for me as well. So that'll be a big save on space in there and time, you know, pulling out all of this, pulling out, you know, 5 or 6 stacks of cobblestone to compact it down manually is just another thing I have to do manually, and I'd like to cut that out. So we'll be getting some of the compacting drawers here eventually. This is the one with my oak logs, so that I now can see these 2 drawers. And eventually this drawer controller is going to move down here, and these drawers are going to extend all the way around, well, 3 sides of this guy and down as far as I can go. I think we can go 15 drawers at a time on either side. And then in the corners, I'll just need to have some trim to connect them all together. But when I get to that step, we can review what I did to keep it all in order. But for now, I need to start grabbing these other ones so I can recolor these to the planks. But I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this episode. We are level 45 now, so I did grab my extra expertise in this infuser. I do know now that with the catalysts, they're probably best used with inscriptions. And I finally got my head wrapped around the inscriptions. That'll be a topic for another video some other time. But they're fairly expensive at this stage to make an inscription. Because you have to make one of the rooms, right? So if I wanted to make the mine room, I'd need 256 Larimars, 16 golds, and 8 echoes. along with 64 inscription pieces. So it's pretty pricey right now. You really have to be able to get your bang for your buck out of it. But if you make one of these, so if I make one of these mine inscriptions, and then I can add a bunch of extra ore catalysts on top of it, that makes it worth the while. Whereas I think if you just add like a mine, an ore catalyst on top of a regular gem, you're kind of hoping, crossing your fingers, that you actually get some rooms with the ore POIs, or that you find an actual mine room in your vault just randomly anyways. So I think the best course of action with the catalyst is to go for the inscriptions, which we can do a little bit later. It also doesn't hurt to make a bunch of catalysts anyways, and then you can just use some of the ones that aren't so good. Like if you got a wooden based catalyst, then those are fine to run because you're gonna have tons of wooden chests anyway, all over the place anyways. And I'm actually in a position right now where I need wooden chests pretty badly. Not only to get some of the catalyst pieces, because we've only got 100 so far, but the other limiting thing that I'm out of at the point now, I'm out of carbon. So that's the one reason why I can't build any more of the mechanism machines. So I'll have to go back, grind up some vaults, hopefully get lots of wooden chests and the loot from those, and go from there. Anyways, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I appreciate you all for checking it out, and we will see you in the next one.